Welcome to Cuppa on the Couch.
We're actually here. We're actually here for Cuppa on the Couch. And I just feel like I need to take a minute to just absorb and embrace this. Because it almost feels unreal. Because, gosh, how long have I wanted to do this? I would say it's been years in the mind, months in planning, and weeks in actually just pressing record, because I don't know what's been my obstacle. I think it's been my mind rather than physically being able to do it. And yeah, we're here. Episode one. Episode one, I wanted to be Get to Know Me, but the timings just haven't worked out. And I want to put my passion first before an ideal timeline. I think that's what I want to say. And yeah, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for me and the kids and anybody else that it can help. And yeah, I guess episode two will tie into this a little bit more as to why have you picked pediatric brains and little ones' brains. But I can't actually believe that episode one of this is actually in collaboration with someone else. And I just feel like really, really grateful and probably overwhelmed as well, because what I thought was just going to be me sitting here with like my experience as a mother and my knowledge is actually turned out to be so much more. Why have I chosen this time? And I think now is the perfect time with the kids going back to school. It is literally the last week of the summer holidays, and some people are going back to the same class. Some people are going upper class. Some people are leaving school and going to a different school, depending on their academic year. And some little ones are actually having their first day in school. And I think regardless of the stage, it's really important to acknowledge that it's a big change for us, but it's even bigger for them. You know, you will see some kids and they'll just run off and they won't look back and they'll be absolutely fine. But then there will be some kids who will be quite the opposite. I remember Mila walked straight in and I thought, oh, this is easier than I thought. And I got to the car and I was a mess. Because it was, oh my gosh, we're at that milestone already. And I think I want to look at what does going back to school look like for some children who are really, really overwhelmed, and I guess how we can support them, because the last thing I think little ones need is us as parents being really overwhelmed with just daily life in general, but also with their emotions, meltdowns, tantrums, whatever words you use. You know, there's no right or wrong word. It's just being overwhelmed with their big emotions. And I love this saying. They are not giving us a hard time. They are having a hard time. And as we go through one of these books now, I'm going to try and use examples of how, regardless of which age or which stage even your child is at, you can adapt how you talk to them. You know, I've got a nephew who is nearly 1. I can't believe that's coming up. Dawson is going to be 3 in October. Mila is 7.5. I've got nieces and nephews who are in comprehensive school, and they are big emotions at different stages. You know, some go through them earlier, some go through them later. And that's what I think is hard sometimes. You don't know whether it's their age, their stage, environmental factors. You just don't know. So Let's dive into these amazing books. This one I'll come on to in a bit. But these books, as you've heard me talk about before, are from a lovely, lovely author. She's actually Australian. And she's kindly sent me these books so that I can go through them with the kids, nephew, and yeah, maybe even use them with other families as well. So it's a series of 4 books. And the first one is, actually, that's not the first one I want to go through. The first one is this. And I think it's a lovely, lovely book to start with because it gives us some clear, just basic, picture friendly, child friendly, or just like layperson friendly. These are just lovely, lovely, simple things to help us help them. And you know what? It actually helps me help myself too. So the first one is My Brain is a Home. And I have actually read through this over on Little Readers Library. If, parents want to actually listen to it, it's like an audiobook kind of thing. Or if you want to play it for little ones, because like I said, it is child friendly. The only thing is, on the Little Readers Library, it's not visual. So, if anybody wants visual copies of these, I'll have to check with the author if I can take pictures and send them before I do it. But if I can, I certainly will. So the first one is My Brain is a Home, and it's a book that nurtures well-being by exploring the brain. Now, I love how... So I think I'm going to use this book as a skeleton of how I'm going to explain each different part and what it does and how that can look like in the children as well when they're like going back to school now, rather than just trying to come up with a plan myself. I think it's easier if I just go with this kind of like a PowerPoint. So the first part of the brain they look at is right at the front by here. The professional terminology for this part of their brain is called the prefrontal cortex. But do you know what? Big words, even big legal words to me now are just, you just lose me straight away. So there's different ways we can explain this part of the brain. And I often like to use the brain like this. So it's this part of the brain we're talking about here, this part. And it can be known as, depending on the age or the stage of the child, it's your thinking brain basically. In the book, she refers to it as a wise professor. You can see there, I think it's a male or female, I'm not sure, in like a white coat. So obviously that would be somebody who is understanding or his age is a little bit older. You can refer to it as your thinking brain. And I refer to it as, and I had this idea, I can't take the idea, from the book There's No Such Thing as Naughty, as the owl, your wise owl. We often think, oh, owls are quite clever and they sit high up in the tree and they scan the environment, and this part of the brain can often talk to other parts of the brain and keep everything under control. And that's kind of what she says here. So let's look inside. So yeah, we've got the wise brain here, and I make sure the home is kept in really good condition. So like I said, this part of the brain is it calms everybody down then. When this is working, it calms everything down, or all the other parts of the brain. But the only problem is, or the only obstacle, it's not a problem, it's just an obstacle, is that part of the brain is not fully mature until the 20s, and that's just research. Nobody knows specifically. I'm 32 now, who knows, mine may be delayed, who knows. But when we're looking at little ones, Mila's going back to school, Dawson's going to be starting school, I have to tell myself that when the other emotions are going around and around and around, that part of Dawson's brain, this part, is nowhere near strong enough, big enough, mature enough to calm him down. And that's where I come into the equation, and Paul. and new parents as well. Whilst this part of the brain is not online, it's not fully charged, let's maybe look at it at that, it's our job to be the wise professor, to be the owl, to be the thinking brain, to calm them down. So what kind of things, an example again that I've used with other people before is when we're all frantic and all our emotions are going and we're nervous, we're scared, we are, I don't know, hungry even, or we're just in a situation where we're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, all of those, very nice emotions, or we've had a bad day, we can come home and we can say, chuck the kettle on, oh, I'm going to have a bath, I'm going to read my book, I'm going to go to the gym, all those kind of things. Or we can do some like breathing exercises, because that's this part of our brain telling us, calm down, take some time out, do whatever you need to do to relax. But the kids haven't got that. Like Dawson certainly hasn't got that at 2.5, nearly 3. Well, he is nearly 3. So that's where I come in and I have to do those things. I have to put those things in place to try and calm him down, to assist his thinking brain whilst it's not fully charged yet. So then Orlando, she goes on to look at this little part in the middle, which is, again, the professional terminology is your amygdala. But what I love about this book is that I think she names this dog. This is Amygdala, our guard dog. She keeps us safe and sound. She barks when she spots trouble or when danger is around. So later on in life, when the kids are older, this guard dog, this fire alarm, I referred to it in the past. What else? Your fire alarm. Just your alarm. There's so many different things you can think of. So when this is going off and it's barking, but the little ones don't have this part of their brain to calm them down, he's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And that part of our brain and the kids are just going to spiral out of control. And that's when they're going to start doing things like, I don't know, headbutting, biting, kicking, throwing, all those kind of things, because they physically have not got the ability, they haven't got enough of their brain grown here to calm them down. That's where we have to. But when we meet them with, just calm down, stop crying, it's all right. What are we doing really? We kind of like just shutting their emotions down. We're not helping them because they physically cannot calm down. Stop crying and tell me what you want, or stop crying and you can have it. It's going to take a while, they've got to go through that whole circle, that whole emotion. The storm has to pass. The dog has to start barking before they can start being realistic again, which is when the other part of their brain kicks in. So what else does she say? It's our feeling brain. Tries to keep us safe by making us feel worry and fear. It's her job to keep us safe, though at times she overreacts. Now, that is really, really true. And when our alarm system is overreacting, we've got our thinking brain, our prefrontal cortex at the front to calm us down. But kids haven't. So you might be asking, well, what other things can we do? So I'll come on to that in a second. But some examples that I've also given with this part of our brain in the middle, and we've all heard of the saying, or some of you may not have. Flipped your lid. Now, if we think the guard dog, your fire alarm, your smoke alarm, and then we think of our thinking brain, a wise professor, or our, clever owl who's up in the trees scanning. If our guard dog can hear sirens, for example, or somebody banging the door, but we don't know whether it's for us or whether it's just, could be the wrong house. He's barking, he's barking, he's barking. This owl is up in his tree. It's okay, the sirens are in a distance, it's not for us. It's okay, it's the wrong house, there's nothing to be worried about. Or, You know, is your owner just struggling to get in, so they're shoving the door? That's great. But if this is not fully grown yet and this is not mature enough, the guard dog is literally just going to flip it. Flip it. You see, it gets bigger and bigger and it just keeps flipping. And that's where we lose our cool, basically. You know, this is our cool. We lose it. Even as adults, we do it. And we have got a more mature brain there than the kids have. And I think when we look at it like that, to think, oh my gosh, if we flip our lid, if we lose control, and we can't calm ourselves down, and we've got this part of our brain, what hope have the kids got? And as soon as I understood that and it clicked, I was like, do you know what? There is no such thing as naughty until they're old enough to understand what they're doing is wrong and they're doing it anyway. When they've got that rational part of their brain grown to tell them, actually, it's okay, or you don't need to overreact, that's when they can control their emotions, basically. So that's those two parts of the brain. And then the problem scale then that Orlando has come up with is really, really lovely. And there's some resources in the back. So I'm guessing that we can share these. I will have to check with her though, just in case. There's a little problem scale and it's 1 to 5, kind of like a traffic light system. And it's basically so that our guard dog or their guard dog, their alarm, can assess the situation rather than just think, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. You know, Mammy's taken that pencil off me. It's the end of the world. I need to kick. I need to scream because that pencil is never coming back. Guys, to us, it's just a pencil. But to them, it's not that simple because they do not have this owl, this professor, and this thinking brain to tell them it is just a pencil. You know, it's not the terrible twos. They are literally having a massive, massive brain development. This is growing slowly. This is all going on. There's loads of connections. Look, they're not giving us a hard time. They're really having a hard time themselves. But there's a problem scale. And we've got small problem, medium problem, big problem, and then an emergency. Now, you've all heard of fight or flight. And this is kind of where little ones are. They're either happy or it's an emergency. You've taken a pen off them, or a child in nursery has taken a block off them, it is an emergency. They will hit out. It's all they know. They're programmed that way at that age and stage. And I guess if we introduced something like this, we could put in different strategies and different activities to help them not climb the ladder as fast, you know, to understand, oh, actually, this is not as big as I think. And I also think that's where this lovely part comes into it, wise words. So things that we can use, such as, I'm not good at this yet, but with practice I can be. Obviously, I'm cautious of the age and stage that would be. But let's talk about Dawson in nursery, you know, when a child, in fact, it happened the other day, somebody took Dawson's ball off him and that child hit Dawson in the face. Now, as a mother, I could be really, really annoyed at that child because he or she, whoever it was, smacked Dawson in the face. And don't get me wrong, I was upset, but there was no way I was angry at that child because that's what he or she is supposed to do. They are supposed to act out. They're supposed to hit out. There's been occasions where Dawson has actually bit someone else, and I've been absolutely mortified because I really wish he was able to control that situation, have some kind hands, maybe take some deep breaths, but he can't yet, you know. We do it at home, but maybe we don't do it enough, or maybe it's just his stage, maybe he's just getting used to it, and I have to tell myself that when it's in return, when, you know, he's being hit in the face. But, you know, things like, so by here we've got, what new skill could I learn from this problem? That's kind of me at the moment, you know, when things are going wrong. I've swapped my triggers to my glimmers and seen the positives instead of the negatives. And rather than Why is this happening to me? Why is everything going wrong? Right, hang on. Let's flip that. Let's rephrase that. What is this trying to teach me? What new skill could I learn from this problem? And I guess with Dawson, how could we explain that to him? Because Mila would probably understand in this example, but with Dawson, maybe we could say, let's look at that incident the other day where the little one took the ball. You know, Dawson will be feeling sad, and I can say, you know, how did it make you feel? Did you feel sad? And maybe we could just say something like, the little girl or little boy doesn't know how to share yet, but we can help him. We can say, rather than snatch it back, maybe we could say, can I have it in 2 minutes, please? Or let's just call this little one Joe Blogs. Joe Blogs, can I have a turn now, please? You know, I can be teaching Dawson about sharing. He's having a problem at the moment. Somebody's pinched his ball, but we're learning a skill about sharing and patience. And it is hard sharing because lots of people say, oh my gosh, he or she is terrible not to share. They're not meant to at little age. This part of their brain is not telling them that the ball is coming back, the block is coming back. That's it. Somebody has taken it, it's gone, it's pinched it. They don't know if they're ever going to see that again. I love this part. So again, the professional terminology is your hippocampus, just at the back. You can see this is obviously like your neck, just here. And the hippo loves learning. Someone else who lives in the home is our pet hippo called Hippocampus. He's very clever, great at learning, and always remembers what a champion. The only problem is when the guard dog, amygdala in the middle, your fire alarm, is barking so loud. Guys, we've all been there. There's so much going on, you can't think straight. You've been in the car where you don't know where you're going or you're trying to park and you've had to, kids, just shut up a minute. You've had to turn the radio down because you're trying so much to concentrate or you're so nervous that you can't think straight. You can't think straight. That's the quote, isn't it? When the dog, who's called amygdala, is barking, the hippo can't think or learn at all because he needs the house to be calm. Now, the problem we've got with Dawson, and yeah, I can do this in school, in the house, but this is what I'm nervous of, you know, when he's in school and all his like little scared or little emotions are going, I'm not there to be his thinking brain, to be the wise brain, the professor, the owl, who is going to, because whilst I know the teachers are there, you know, the ratio is not 1-to-1, it's not 3-to-1, it's like, what is it, like 3-to-20, if not more. So I'm hoping that by the time he goes in January, we can really, really get some of these things set in stone where, you know, even if he just thinks of one thing that he can do to kind of calm him down until he comes home, which is a whole nother story because when he comes home, the Pandora's box is open and everything comes out. And again, we have to go back then to what activities can we do to calm him back down. You know, I hate that saying, calm down. What happened? It's not as simple as that. You know, we need to strip it back and we need to just be there with them. If they don't want to be touched, don't touch. If they want to be held, hold them. Sometimes it's not about talking, it's just about listening, just letting that emotion pass, that storm ride. But that's probably something I could talk about maybe later on because I think there's some activities in here as well. But yeah, basically when their alarm system is going off because somebody has stole their pencil or they can't find their mummy's gone in the shop and you just freeze, fight or flight or freeze, that's where this part comes in. And these things can help to keep you calm and keep your mind at ease. So things like deep breathing, mindfulness and redirecting. You said redeflecting then, you know, getting up, moving about, going for a walk, those kind of things. What else does she say there? When you use these strategies, your brain feels much more safe. We feel better and hippo can learn. Now that really is great. So just like our guard dog amygdala, you can use the problem scale to sort through your problems, big or small. It's like knowing rain from hail. Another example, you've got your alarm, and your alarm is your smoke alarm. Think of now your smoke alarm in the kitchen, you've burnt your toast, and your smoke alarm has detected something and it's going off because your smoke alarm doesn't have your wise brain, your owl, your professor, to tell you it's fine, it's just toast. There's no fire, you don't need to escape, but it's going off nevertheless. It doesn't know the difference, that smoke alarm, between burnt toast and a fire. It's got to go off because it's just a precaution, isn't it? It's better to be safe than sorry. But when the guard dog is barking, we can put this problem scale into effect. So what else have we got? For an emergency or big problem, you may need to scream and shout. That's when amygdala is doing great work and is really helping you out. For medium problems, like if you've had a fight or if someone is leaving you out, you can use your words and problem solving without screaming or running about. And then for smaller things then, like not agreeing with someone, like in a debate, rather than just getting really irate. And we've seen this before, haven't we, with arguments. Sometimes it can just be a little discussion and then it gets more heated, and before you know it, they're physically fighting, and that's when it's just jumped the problem scale. But whereas if we had done things like take a breath, let it go, it'll keep the guard dog calm, keep the guard dog in bed, keep us just at a regulated level. And I find that I have to do this quite a lot, in the mornings, and this is just going to be the case next week. In fact, I think I might print this out and stick it all around the room. Those school mornings, they really, really used to trigger me. And the phone calls that Paul used to have when I dropped the kids off was absolutely just carnage, because my alarm, my guard dog, was just going off. I'd flip my lid, basically. Whereas now, before I allow that to happen, I'm really working on this front part of my brain. And even though the kids don't have it yet, I'm really working on what I can do to be that part of their brain for them. And it is literally, and I say to the kids, what would Elsa say? And she says, and then we sing, let it go, don't hold it back anymore. And we do. We just let it go, because we realise, you know what? It's not life or death. It's not as bad as we think. It is just toast. It's not a fire. Uncomfortable feelings do happen. It's just a fact of life. But when we use our strategies, we feel calm and much more light. And it's true, isn't it? I'm not preaching here to myself or to the kids or to anyone. Do these things and everything's fine. These things do happen, We are going to feel happy. We are going to feel sad. We're going to feel stressed, anxious, tired, hungry. All of the emotions, good, bad emotions. But what I want to tell the kids that, it is okay to feel all of these emotions. It's okay to feel really good yesterday and not so good today. And then you think, well, I felt good yesterday, why am I having a bad day today? It's just a fluctuation in hormones, and emotions, and we can do things to bring us back down. I had to do it this morning. I just got really overwhelmed by everything in the house, and as much as this part of my brain was trying to say, Alicia, it's just clutter, my alarm was just going and going and going, and I thought, I don't know what to do. I couldn't think straight. My vision was blurry, my hearing was like bad. And I just said, Paul, can I just have a minute? And I went in the bedroom amongst all of the clothes I was trying to put away. And I felt quite faint as well. So I don't know if I was just really, really like losing control. And I just lay down. I put my feet up like I've got quite low blood pressure anyway, so it's quite common for me to put my feet up, took a good few breaths, and it had literally flipped the switch. It all felt better again. It's just a fact of life, but we can feel calm and much more light, and I did. So this is the traffic light system then, basically. So what can we do? So where is the problem on the scale? And I think what I'm going to do with the kids is, we don't have like a naughty corner or a naughty step. We are going to have a calm corner. And I think I'm going to print some of these out. Maybe I might even make my own, because this might be too much for Dawson. And I might put them in the corner so we can say, you know, well, how do you feel? Do you feel scared? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel tired? With Dawson, obviously, I'll have to say, like, maybe I can use, do you feel angry? Do you feel happy? Do you feel scared? Do you feel tired? You know, do you feel hungry? Those kind of things. Maybe even use like pictures for food, picture of the Incredible Hulk, because you won't like me when I'm angry. Can you see how like this can easily be adjusted for any age and stage? We can even do this with my nephew. He's nearly 1. You know, when he's crying, I'm not going to be saying, it's okay, you're fine. Even though I want to be telling him he's going to be fine, I need to match his face, you know. I need him to know, oh, hang on, she understands me. We're working through this together. What else have we got? Now, you must remember to be kind to each part of your brain. They all work hard to keep you safe and keep you free from pain. Oh my gosh, that's lovely. You really do have these parts in your brain. You know, you got your thinking brain, your alarm, and your learning brain. And these are the resources at the back. Look, we've got the 3 different symbols, the problem scale. And we've got some wise words as well. I think I spoke about them just now, didn't I, in the beginning? There was one in here about the storm, unless that's in one of the other books. Oh, look at this. Thanks, guard dog, but things are okay. My wise brain can work it out. I'm nervous, but I know this feeling will pass. That's lovely. You know, the storm. We could be here now today thinking, oh my gosh, it's absolutely hammering down. The weather is dreadful. There's a storm coming in, but that doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be bad. I remember being on holidays once when I was little, and there was thunder and lightning, and it was really, really bad. And then a couple of hours later, it was boiling hot and really sunny. And I was thinking, we've gone from one extreme to the other. But it just goes to show how, just like the weather, our brains can go from one extreme to the other. You know, we can be in a really bad place. Kids can be having a really, really bad day, but after they've had, you know, a couple of deep breaths, maybe something to drink, put some music on, they're fine. Oh yeah. Olanda is a mother of 2 boys living in Sydney, Australia, with over a decade of experience as a primary school teacher and a degree in psychology. She's passionate about promoting children's emotional well-being and mental health. Balancing her roles as a mother and educator, Olanda brings a practical and empowering approach to fostering resilience, happiness, and overall well-being in children's lives. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful books. It offers strategies and tools to help children of all ages with their emotional regulation, and not just at all ages, all stages as well. You know, we can implement this in such a child-friendly way. A newborn baby can see us doing smell and blow. I think that smell and blow brings me on to my breath. This is something I've done. I didn't do this with Mila, I don't think, because I didn't really know the benefits of it, but it is something I've done with Dawson from, well, I would say from when I was in labour, so before I even met him, just breathing and not understanding. And I think this is something I wanted to stress, because this day and age, people are using, or I'm finding anyway, people use terminology like, oh, just breathe. take a breath, or big words like meditation, guided meditation, breath work, body scan, all of those things. And look, I really, really, really want to break this down to a 1 minute old baby. Something you can do with a 1 minute old baby, you know. So what we do in this house, and we've always done it, is we smell and blow. And I often have people say, like, why are you asking the kids to smell and blow? And it is basically smell the flowers, hold it, blow a balloon. Now, the reason I've picked a balloon, okay, some people use candles and things, is because it can depend how hard you blow. Like, you know, if you blow a balloon, it ain't going to go up. But if you give it a bit of force, and I don't mean, I mean, you blast it out. Obviously, it'll depend what kind of thing you blow out, depending on like how angry, upset, scared you are. But that's something we've always done. And Dawson's actually really funny when he does it, because he hasn't quite mastered the C that we call it, like the C in yoga, where we breathe it in there, the letter C around the back, and then out. It can be out through the mouth, it can be out through the, not out through the belly, but I'm not going to get lost in all that. But feeling the breath in different places. But Dawson is actually like, oh, and I guess, look, at the moment he's just doing it, and the fact that he's around mindfulness and breath work is just enough at the moment. So let's have a look at how Orlando describes it. So, oh look, she actually talks about newborns too. A breath is a truly amazing thing. It's the first thing we do when we're born. Breathing is something we can choose to do when we feel relaxed or anxious or worn. Now, there's a certain part of our brain, our survival brain, that is always turned on. It's always telling us to breathe. But how we breathe when we want to breathe differently can depend on how it helps when we feel stressed, anxious, or worn. Sometimes we don't feel like taking a breath. It can be hard, but it's worth every bit. Now, this is so, so, so powerful. Can we see this big nerve that goes right down the middle? That's called the vagus nerve. Have a little look at where it shoots off, all right? Try and think of this as like the M4, the big busy road, then you've got junctions then coming off. It comes off in so many different places. And this is basically, I think I've heard this being referred to before as your gut is your second brain. And you can see, look, where it comes out to you around this area. And we've all felt it, nerves in your belly. We've all felt butterflies. We've all had nervous toilets. Sometimes you can be sick because you're so nervous. Oh my God, I feel sick, I'm so nervous. It's because our gut is our second brain. We feel lots of our things there. And talking from personal experience here, when I was back in university, like when you've been out and you've had your student night and you're feeling drunk and you feel a bit sick. I did do this before I had Dawson, before I even had Mila. I never even realised, look, I would breathe that nauseous sickness feeling away. And I actually came across a meditation track the other day on a fantastic app called Insight Timer. I'll see if I can get a picture and like pop it somewhere here with like a link, or if I can put the link like in the bit at the bottom. It's fantastic. It's free. You can pay for like the premium version, but we never have, and it's fantastic. And it was actually meditation for headaches. I couldn't believe, look, if it was a placebo effect, I don't really care, the pain went. I did this meditation track for headaches and my headache was gone. I couldn't believe it. And I was wondering, oh my gosh, that's the breath work. That's the vagus nerve connecting my brain to my heart, my lungs, my stomach. And it's actually worked. And I was just blown away. So So the reason breathing and breath work works really, really well is because of this, because of the vagus nerve. Did she talk about it more here? Oh yeah. So the vagus nerve connects your brain to your stomach, your heart and your lungs. It can send you a message to calm down or tense up. It tells you to freeze, fight or run. A good way to calm down your body is to use your wonderful breath. It activates your vagus nerve and calms your body at depth. Now, this is such a coincidence because the other night, Mila came into our room and she was saying, like, I'm really, really tired. I want to go to sleep, but I can't. I've tried loads of things. I feel sick. And I was like, right, can we try something? She's overtired, so her alarm system may be going off. What can we do to calm her down, to get rid of the sickness feeling? And often we can say, like, you know, it's a process, isn't it? Trial and error, right? Do you need a pee? Do you need a number two? Do you want something to eat? Do you need a drink? But I think we often forget about breathing, and bedtimes and kids can be a whole other story. And we could be here for hours in a day. Just go to bed, get back in your bedroom. And if we are meeting them with those kind of responses, that guard dog, that alarm is just climbed that problem scale so fast. So fast. And remember, they haven't got this part of the brain to calm them down. They're going to act out. It's just going to get worse. It is just going to get worse. So maybe, if we have those kind of nights lately, next week when the kids go back to school, maybe we can do something like this, if she's feeling sick like she did the other night. We didn't actually do smell and blow. We did something from this book. I'll come on to that in a second, but she said afterwards, I think we done it like 5 or 6 times. She said, my belly stopped hurting. And I thought, wow. What else? Deep breathing makes your heart beat slower. It releases butterflies trapped inside. That's lovely, isn't it? I literally just said the butterflies in your stomach. And if we take some deep breaths, it can help release the butterflies. As your body begins to relax from within, you can think clearly and let hard feelings slide. Now, slowing down our heartbeat, slowing down that alarm system, calming that dog down, it's going to put less pressure on all of the other parts of the brain. In adults, it's going to allow our lid to close, this part of our brain to come back online. With kids, because they haven't got this, it's just going to calm them down slowly. They can't do it on their own. They need to do these kind of things. The thing is, you need to practice your breathing when you're feeling relaxed and calm. So when storm clouds thunder back in your head, you know how to breathe and not get alarmed. So here's some helpful breathing techniques. Choose a few, 1 or 2, and use them at any time you need to. You'll feel better when you do. So this one is the 4-4-4 breathing, and it's basically breathe in slowly and count into 4. Hold for 4, and then breathe out slow for 4. You can do that a few times. Nose and mouth breathing. Breathe in deeply through your nose like you're smelling a flower. Notice how the air feels coming into your nose. That's a nice one. And that's like, your meditation kind of body scanning. Don't just breathe in. Use different parts of your brain. Feel the air going in. Does it smell like anything? Breathe out steadily through your mouth like you're blowing out a candle, and really squeeze every last bit. Really get that balloon nice and big. You can do that a few times as well. So take 5 breathing. That's actually in this lovely book as well. I did put a little bookmark in here so that I could find it. Yeah, finger relaxation. So stretch your hand out like a star and use the hand print as a guide. So basically what it's saying is you can take one finger and we can trace up and down, up and down. So we're going to breathe in when we go up through the thumb and stop at the top, maybe give it a tap, and then breathe out as we go back down. Then we breathe in, we tap, we breathe out. We breathe in, we tap and hold, and we breathe out. We breathe in, tap and hold, and we breathe out. We breathe in, tap and hold, and we breathe out. Now, just because we've done this 5 times, it doesn't mean it's going to work straight away. And it actually says that on your, how do you feel now? Are you calm, or would you like to take another 5 breaths? And it is okay if you need to do another 5 breaths, you know. Some kids, even babies, look, babies can't count to 5. Not supposed to count until they go to school. If they count earlier, fabulous. But when a baby is crying, a newborn baby, a baby's just come out of the womb, hold them close, put them on skin to skin, breast, whatever you're deciding to do. And even if you don't do the fingers, you know, just breathe with them, tap them. You know, see, we've got the rhythm, we've got the senses of touch, feel, smell, taste, all those things. And it can be really, really, really powerful. What else have we got? Belly breathing, nostril breathing. This is something we've done in yoga before. This is the quote that I was thinking about with regards to the storm. Like clouds, our feelings come and go. Some move fast and some move slow. But now you have something you can do that will make a big difference inside of you. It's been there ever since you were born. It brings peace when you're upset. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed, just focus on your breath. And that's actually how I fell asleep last night. Put a meditation track on. And even though there was no sounds, I felt like there was a lot sound-wise going around in my mind. And I just focused on my breath. And then before you know it, it also woke me up at 6 o'clock this morning. When kids' emotions are running high, their logic and language are low. When children are feeling intense emotions, it is not the time to reason with them. Focus on being with them through that emotion. Once their emotional state has settled, we can then offer guidance and communicate more effectively. And that is so true. There is no point matching them in shouting back, in, you know, bargaining with them. Stop crying now and you can have this. They physically can't. They physically can't. They can't give what they haven't got. You know, they haven't got that strong enough of a wise brain at the moment. Their owl, you know, their owl is in the tree. The owl is there. The smoke alarm is there, but maybe there's only one battery. You know, maybe the owl in the tree is just been born itself and he hasn't had enough life experience yet. It is there. It's just not mature enough. And I think if there is one thing I would love to stand up and stress to everybody, everyone, is they physically cannot calm themselves down. It's for us to do that. And if we are showing them at times when they can't control their emotions and when they are sad and upset that we can't either, what hope have they got? I think these other ones I may do in like a 2-part series because I am conscious of how long we've been here. But these are fantastic ones as well. Maybe that'll be something for next week. But I wanted to put something together just to give some understanding and some like activities, resources of what next week could look like going back to school, what it could look like even now, you know. We could have been talking about, oh, kids go back to school next week, or they could have been seeing you getting the uniform and that out, and it could be stirring up emotions. And I think rather than just bargaining with them, reasoning with them, meeting them, bargaining with them, reasoning with them, meeting them with similar sort of combat style, if we just allow that storm to pass, just be with them. Do they want to be touched? Do they want to be listened to? Do they want to be left alone? The storm will pass and they will just feel more relaxed. We'll feel more relaxed. And I'm not saying it's going to be the answer to everything, but it's certainly a start to just calming them down, keeping their guard dog in bed, or just on guard, not firing, not barking all the time. So I think, yeah, that's probably the summary of this episode, that this part of their brain that calms them down is not strong enough yet. It is not old enough, and until it is, it's for us as their parents and caregivers to implement some of these strategies, some of these breathings, some of these up, down, hold, smell the flowers, blow the balloon, until they can do things themselves. Some children are non-verbal at the moment. Newborn babies certainly are. But if they see us doing it, if they feel us doing it, if they feel in the rhythm and they hear in the rhythm of our heart changing, the feeling of our breath, the tapping of their back, or wherever we gently nursing them, they're being exposed to it from very, very early age. And things can only get better. Can only get better when we understand you. Right, I think it's time to press pause now. Yeah, I'm going to go through the next week. Kids are going to go back in school. We're going to implement some of these strategies in the mornings, the night before school, after school. And yeah, we'll catch up again for the second part of this episode, I think, where I'll let you know how it's gone. And we'll go through these ones, I think, as well. And if I come across anything else, I have got some nice illustrations as well. So have a lovely week. I really, really hope that if you take anything from today, that you take one thing and it helps. If it helps you, or it helps them, or it helps you all together, it is just my passion trying to help little ones feel more regulated.